Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what I like to do is to create videos that I would have found helpful when I first got out looking for treasure. Today we have an eBay package, and I actually looked this one up before the video. I paid $30 even for it. It's actually two different lots. And I must say I made like offers on them. I've been honest. I've been trying not to buy these lots, but it's hard. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Now, the reason I bought these lots was that I thought there was probably going to be gold fill in here for sure. I thought they'd make interesting videos, but I thought there was the potential for gold. And I will definitely link the link the pictures of the from the eBay auctions at the end of this video. And we will be able to compare what I was looking at to what reality is, which I think is a pretty useful thing. I know I certainly would have appreciated that when I first started buying some of the stuff off of eBay, because reality versus the pictures that are taken on often very poor cameras, which wasn't so much the case with this auction, I don't think, but you know, reality versus what you get are two wildly different things. Now, one of these was a lot of broken things, and then one of them was not. This one I paid a little more for. This one I paid, I think, $10 for. Let's start with the one I paid a little bit more for. And I assumed that this would be filled because I think it said it's filled. Yeah. There we go. I think. Oh, maybe not. Folger 180 B-Way, New York, something way, New York. Well, maybe. I'm not sure what the Y would indicate. You definitely have an old, like, 1800s pin, though, probably. And you can usually tell that because of the way the hinge is made, the way the latch, the C-latch is made, and then the fact that the pin is extending out past the end. That was done up until like the late 1800s for additional retention of the pin. Now, I don't know, man. I thought this one was going to be gold fill, but boy, looking at it, so we have enamel that's definitely maybe dirty. I don't want to chip it off. This is in better shape than I thought from the pictures. See, usually with gold fill, you can start to see where the fill is coming through, or the brass underneath is coming through. On an old piece in particular, you get a lot of wear over time, and then on high edges, you can really see where you've got brass. In this case, though, man, I am seeing some high edge wear, but I'm not seeing the brass coming through. Maybe right there. Maybe that's what that is right there. Well, we will test it, but I'm getting my hopes up. That's got a real gold look to it. And usually with a piece like this, you can see on the edges where we're getting down to that brass, but it looks like it's all one solid piece of something. Boy, I think we might have a 10 karat pin. This, right, see that little bit right there? That gives me pause though. Right at the end of my finger there. That right there could be where the fill has worn through. So I'm gonna go ahead. Why aren't you focusing, camera? Focus. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and use my loupe for a moment. Okay, yes, under the loupe you can tell. If Okay, my camera has decided it doesn't like life anymore. That little bit right there, you can see that right at the tip. I should use a better pointer, shouldn't I? How about we use, we'll use a hat pin. Okay, right there. You can see some of the gold fill coming through, and right there, or the where the gold fill has worn off, and right there is where I believe it's worn off in both of those cases. Now you can see those in the videos, and that's why I thought this was gold fill. But yeah, I mean, it still is surprising how good a condition of condition this pin is. So anyways, that one is fill for sure. I thought this one might be gold. I think we got a ruby there. Shall we blacklight it and find out? All right, so I'm going to turn off the lights here. Yep, that's a ruby. They glow like crazy. All right, lights are coming back on. Okay. There we go. Now the question is, do we have a bit of gold? Maybe some white gold up there. I don't know. Hard to say. We're going to have to test this one. Very well could be. It's hard to say. You know, one of the things that people don't realize is like the old 10 karat gold will tarnish like that. But, you know, this is pretty well made. And it's definitely a nice Elks pin. Nicer than most of the ones I find. So it very likely could be. And I think that was the one that I had my biggest hopes of being gold. It seemed like a fairly savvy seller, so my assumption was that I had a lot of gold fill and then maybe one piece of gold. Definitely looked like a ruby, though. I think this is probably National Rifle Association. Yep, gold fill. As expected. Now this, so that was the thing that I thought was most likely to be gold, and then this was my secondary bit of possible gold. And this right here may just be tarnish as opposed to the brass coming through. And it's so hard to tell with the online pictures if that's the case. But now that we have it in hand, just giving a little rub to see if the tarnish comes off or if it stays. All right, let me wash it briefly. Yes, this one is also definitely gold fill. So we just gave it a little wash. And you can see, or maybe you can see right through here, that bit right there is where the brass is coming through. There's a couple other spots where the brass is coming through. That's a nice piece, but it isn't, in fact, gold. Now, from a online auction picture perspective, a piece like this can go either way. I like large lots that have stuff like this in it because sometimes a piece like this won't end up being fill. And you can see it here, I think. Right through there. And then you're a happy camper. Have one of these somewhere around here that's 10 karat. Now, you know what might be interesting is to compare this to that 10 karat one. Yeah, here we go. All right, so this one is 10 karat. And this one, they're the same thing. I think they're like a watch. They're like for hanging a watch. And this one, I think, is probably gold fill. But boy, do they look close. But what you don't see here is this kind of situation. I sure hope this is coming through on the video. I don't know any better way to relate this kind of information, because like this piece came in a lot just like this. And I didn't even expect this one to be 10 karat. So if you are looking at a large lot of pins, or you're at like an estate sale or a garage sale or something that has a whole bunch of stuff, you know, you could be pulling one out that is 10 karat. Now, this one is 10 karat, but it's not marked as such. There are no markings on this one to indicate that the metal. Now, one thing that it does have going for it, which this other one doesn't, is the safety pin. As you can see here, you close the pin and then you lock it. See right there? And that is definitely an indication that whoever made this wanted extra security because it was a more precious piece. So that's actually, that safety pin was why I bought that lot. And I've got it as one of my previous videos. If I can, I'll make a little pip up here to link back to this video. But that little bit was what prompted me to buy that. This one I thought might be, it looked just good enough, but I think it is probably fill. So this is our only hope for gold in this lot, which is, you know, fine. I'm not really that worried about it. I do like this piece, and I do like this piece, even if they are fill. And we have the other lot, which is something that we should have some fun with. Now, this lot was $10. And I thought this was just, you know, a fun way to spend 10 bucks. What do we have here? Looks like porcelain. That porcelain dial is just gorgeous. Man, that's cool. Look at that. So I think this is an old pocket watch. Yeah. Not sure who made it. Look at that. It really wants to run. If anyone knows anything about this that I should know, just let me know. Man, watches are cool. But we'll put that in a little plastic bag, and we'll try to keep that as safe as we can for future generations. Maybe there's a watchmaker that can repair it. My best guess on this is that it was taken out of a gold fill case, or possibly a solid gold case, and then the case was of course scrapped. And that's why these are so easy to find these days and so cheap, is because gold is so high that they're just getting scrapped. Speaking of scrapped, looks like this was a silver ring. What do we got for mark there? Yep, 925. That goes in the scrap jar. Yay! Okay, there's another one of these. Now this one interested me. So this one I thought had more promise than this one. And the reason I thought that was because of all this fine work that was done. See all of these little, all that chiseling. But that is not a good sign. That is verdigris right there, which probably indicates this is brass that's plated, or it is maybe like gold fill, or oh, maybe gold face. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be what we got going on here. Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is going to be something that's going to be useful for another video. Now the back is brass, but if you can see, yeah, you can see right here, this is a really good spot for it. You see this line right here? This back side is brass and this front side is gold. Now, if we test it, what we'll get is we'll get brass and probably like 10 karat gold. But you can see this distinct line right there where the gold and is fused to the brass. And I think the technical term is gold fill, but sometimes that GF means like gold faced or some version of gold faced. Gold faced is the term that I've been having stuck in my head. And if you look real close, you can see where the gold starts and the brass starts. So that's a good example of that, I think, and we will definitely use that in a future video. But that's why I thought that this was a likely piece for being solid gold, and it does have probably a very substantial amount of gold is in this piece. And I think when people are refining gold fill, if they have pieces like this in there, they're probably getting a higher yield than they expect, because maybe not a half of the content of this, but a third possibly is that whole sheet of gold that's used over the top. And the reason I say that is because that sheet of gold was put on, and then all of this hand chiseling was done. And all of this stuff, as deep as it got there, didn't go through the gold that's on top. So a piece like this is not an insignificant amount of gold. And I think they're well worth paying attention to because of that. Now, of course, how much gold is in that without refining it, I don't think you could ever really know. But I think they're worth grabbing, personally. All right, what other fun stuff do we have in here? We have, is this multiple pins? Is this one pin? Key to my heart, looks like. Some kind of plastic. This just looks like, yeah, see, you can see how this was plated. This was brass with plate on it. Do we have a marking? Sometimes with these, what you'll end up with is you'll end up with like some of the guard pins like this, or the little additional pins, are actually gold. They're teeny tiny little drabs of gold, but in this case, I don't think so. Is this YMCA related? I forget. I feel like I tried to look that up one time. I've got this little H here, and this H is very clearly gold filled. You see how we've got the gold plate wearing off? Up top, we have, up here, you've got all the brass coming through, and down here you can see the gold. And this would be a good example of an old piece of gold fill that's lower quality gold fill, or a lower amount of material used. So for example, when you're reading those little gold fill numbers, they'll say like 1/20th 10 karat, or 1/10 10 karat, or in some cases 1/5 10 karat. And obviously the more 10 karat is in there, the more gold is on top. This is a good example of something that would be like 1/20th, or even less potentially than that. This is a very thin sheet of gold that was on there, and that does not appear to be gold at all. So in any case, I believe we need to bust out the test acid. We'll check this guy out, and maybe we'll test this one too. I don't know. I think it's gold fill, but it looks so dang good. Okay, so what I've done here is I've taken from the bottom here, and I've made 3 different dots. And the reason I've done that is I wanted to try to get through any material on top. Like, for example, with this one, I feel like it's probably a very thick. If it's anything, it looks like it would just have to be super duper thick. So I actually took 4 of them here, so that hopefully the one at the bottom is getting down to the brass that's underneath, assuming there is brass, assuming these are. We're coming at them from the perspective that they are, in fact, gold fill. So I'm just trying to get through the top layer of gold down to the brass underneath. And then we will try our little dots. And what should happen if these are gold fills, they should disappear. And as you can see, yeah, okay. Well, I'm feeling very positive about this lot. It is pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. Not what I hoped it would be, obviously. I hoped it would all be gold. But here you can see this little guy is holding real strong at 10 karat. So we're going to hit it with 14 karat here. We're going to see if it's 14. And then while we're doing that, you can see how the 10 is holding strong. The 14 is definitely fading. And if I hit it with the 18, I bet the 18 will just it'll just go right away. Yeah, boom, gone. But look at that, 14 is holding, which is interesting. My best guess is that it's probably obviously between 10 and 14K. It's probably more like a 12 karat piece, or closer to 13. Or something like that. You can see how it's actually holding fairly strong with that, which is cool. Now, I don't know if we got $30 worth of gold there. We can go ahead and weigh it up. I do think as a 12 karat gold pin with a ruby in it, it's worth $30, and I'm definitely happy with it at that price. Let me clean this up and I'll get it out of the way. Let's get it weighed up. Gram. Now, obviously, there's a stone and there's a little stubby thing, screw, which might take away from that a little bit, but still, a gram of 14 karat. What do we say? Well, we'll say it's 12 karat. So if it's 12 karat, gold is currently 106. 106 times 1 times 0.5 equals $53. Am I doing that right? If it's a gram of half of 50% gold, which is 12 karat, yeah. So I guess we did fine. We paid $30 and it's $50 worth of gold. Well, awesome. I guess, from a lesson standpoint, that's part of why I like buying lots, because you have lots of chances. Like, could have been gold, could have been gold, could have been gold, wasn't. I mean, it's not entirely true. There's quite a bit of gold in this piece, I think, in particular. And these are both gold fill, so there's a fair bit of gold in there. I think somebody was just telling me that gold fill is going for about $2 a gram currently on eBay. So, that's like $8-9 right there. And if you consider that also, what we have $14-15. So, it's a pretty good buy just from a metal standpoint. But frankly, I think this is pretty cool. And then obviously, a nice little 14 karat or 12 karat Elks pin with a ruby in it. I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with this outcome. And with that, I hope that you can use this information to go out and find yourself some treasure. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and left comments. I have learned so much, and please help me with the comments to refine my videos so that they're more to your liking. I am constantly learning from people and always trying to make the videos better. Now, I'm still not the best person ever at this acid testing, but I'm getting there. If you have any suggestions on that front, let me know. With that, go find some treasure.
Thank you for watching.